Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 12, 13. If I'm being honest, I do not remember.
It's 13.
13 of the Average Fan Podcast.
Welcome back.
I am joined by Michael. Today, we're going to try to switch some things up, doing some experimenting. Michael's been in prison, dropping the soap a lot. He said he wants to try some new things. So, we're going to see how it goes.
Different Michael, I guess.
If you say so. But we had our Thanksgiving week.
Yes. Did you have a good Thanksgiving, man?
I had a very interesting Thanksgiving. I went home and I got stranded in the middle of the state in a snowstorm, which that is just how it goes in the Midwest in Michigan. Got about 6 inches of snow overnight. Had to stay in the creepiest hotel I've ever been in. Craziest white people I've ever seen. It was like a liminal space. I was able to make it home safely. I had to do some driving to see my partner's family and all that. So it was a pretty good. Did not necessarily enjoy the football game on Thanksgiving, but Michigan State basketball is now ranked 7th in the nation. We are undefeated.
Congratulations, yeah. I was thinking about this the other when you were getting trapped in the snowstorm, because I live in Georgia, the concept of getting like trapped in a snowstorm so bad that you have to go like to a hotel is like that's foreign to me. So I was thinking that was
I thought
fun.
y'all had to do that if you got any snow.
If we get snow or which is really ice, it just like instant melts and then freezes over. It just freezes the road, so you just don't go outside.
Well, y'all in the South don't know how to drive. That's okay.
Well, it is because the roads are frozen over, man. I mean, that ice layer that always appears, that's dangerous stuff right there. And it's the same reason why you got to pull over, you know?
Well, the reason we didn't have to pull over from ice, we had to pull over because it was snowing so hard and it was dark outside that the car's headlights were blinding you because it was reflecting off of the wall of snow that was coming down.
You got to thug it out in those moments, man.
You know, I would have, but it's not worth dying for. Thankfully, my partner was with me, so we were able to hunker down.
I knew you were in a panicked state, and your partner brought you back.
Oh, yeah? I was losing my mind, so scared. You know, Michigan's just such a terrifying state to live in.
Crime-ridden, actually.
Yeah, especially in the rural areas. You know, it's terrifying. But how was your Thanksgiving? What did you get up to? Did y'all get any snow?
No, of course not. We got a little rain, but never no snow. My Thanksgiving was good. I had some family come down from Virginia, and we had a good Thanksgiving. A lot of food, and I also had a Friendsgiving the Saturday after. So I have my fair share of family and friends. Much like you, my football didn't end very well, and
it's the Jets, man. They're getting good.
No, bro. I mean, I don't even know. A lot of like wide receivers touched the field that I really didn't know that were getting like real targets. I mean, we ran the offense pretty well and we ran our defense pretty well. I'm not exactly sure how we lost, but you know, I'll tell you what, I'm not very surprised that we did lose. It just seems like there are constant mishandlings on all sides of the ball. You know, speaking of mishandling, we did have our special team, our punt returner, fumble the ball. I did forget about that. Special teams really got us. And you never know how important it is until they lose you like 4 games in a season. And then you remember, okay, maybe we should keep special teams on the
3 phases. You gotta play 3 phases of ball, brother.
Yeah, and it's not even like it's all in the ways that you don't think. You know, kick, like field goals, PATs, punt returns, kickoffs. You know, when you're letting them to the 40-yard line on kickoffs and you're giving them like 20 yards on punt returns, it doesn't seem like a ton, but over time, I mean, you're just gonna get whittled down to nothing.
But the Lions game, it was like, I mean, did you watch it?
I watched some of it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of knew it was gonna happen. Frank Ragnow was gonna come back, and now his hamstring is torn in half, so he's not.
Yeah, failed his physical.
Which, I mean, that sucks, but you know, you can't count on players unretiring for you, so you know, nothing is new. Truly, I think this game just came down to 4th down conversions. We've gone 0 for 7 out of our last try, like our last few tries, and the Packers got all 3. And that'll win you a game, especially a close one. So for everyone who thinks the sky is falling, I don't think it is, but I'm also getting to the point where if we don't make the playoffs, you know, it's a down year, but still be grateful for the fact that we're still likely going to have a winning season. I'm sure you're used to saying, Michael, there's always next year.
That was messed up. You didn't have to do that to me. And most of the time, there's not next year. You know, something that people always bring up is the trade for the Falcons with the first round pick being gone. Talking about like it's like a colossal failure. You know, people are just like it's the equivalent of stat watching when you don't understand what the trade got us. Then you're just not really like you're just saying like rage bait because it's all you know. In reality, it got us a pass rusher who's leading all rookies in, or I think he's second in sacks for all rookies. The first being Jalen Walker, our actual first round pick from last year, or I guess this year. I'm not really upset, and we got a third round pick from the trade as well, and we used that third round pick to trade up with Philadelphia to get Xavier Watts, who is leading all rookies in interceptions. So I would say the future is still bright, but we have the pieces physically. Like our team is not a bad team by any measure. You see us compete toe to toe with the Patriots and the 49ers, who both are playing phenomenally well throughout the season. But then you also see us play close with like the Jets and the
Yeah, it reminds me of like the fact that a lot of seasons come down to like 2 plays a game. Unless you're a team like the Titans. I mean, yeah, I could go back for Lions games too. It's like the Jared Goff receiving touchdown in the Chiefs game that got called back. The drops on 4th down in the Eagles game, the drops on 4th down in the Packers game. I'm not saying you're coping. I'm just saying it's true that like every team, like the Falcons and everything, are truly like so close to getting over that hump that it's just like, I guess my question would be, what do you think that comes down to? Do you think it comes down to play calling? Do you think it comes down to like coaching more than play calling? I know they're kind of the same thing, but I think you know what I mean. Or is it just like luck? Like, what do you think in those moments makes those teams that are truly the contenders get those plays necessary to be the difference between 4-7 like the Falcons are and 7-4?
How I view it is this is where coaching matters. You know, the fine details. You know how much you can keep your team together mentally, physically, how you go about training. You know, strength and all that, and preparedness, which I just think most of these things are things that we don't have. I mean, maybe we're more prepared now compared to the beginning of the year. I mean, there's just like fine details that everybody else seems to have already hammered out. And then, our coaching staff is just constantly fumbling bit after bit. Most of the things I can point to are special teams and coaching for reasons we lose. And then the other ones, the reasons we win, is our offense, is our defense. It's, what the stuff we've invested for. So the fact that both sides of the ball can play well, but then you have, the in between, the glue is as weak as possible. I mean, that's what I think is the reason.
It makes all the difference, and I think I feel like you have a coach in Raheem Morris that you can't. You're already saying this, but you can't trust your play calling or your clock management, or just because even if he's not calling the plays, he's the guy with the last say of like, this is what we want to do. If he wants to be like, hey, it's 4th and 2, we're gonna do like a trick play here, or instead of doing what people would expect, like a slant passing play, we're gonna try to do an outside run. That's Raheem Morris is ultimately the one responsible for that. And you're already saying a lot of this. I just feel like some coaches don't have the clutch factor, and that's fine if you have the right coordinators, but I feel like Raheem Morris also doesn't have the best staff or like ability to hire staff.
Well, I don't know. I think when it comes to Raheem Morris, and like he has good defensive ideas. He's a defensive minded coach. Jeff Ulbrich was a fantastic hire. I mean, he's set franchise records in sacks. The Falcons are 3rd in sacks as a team in the NFL this year. I mean, you have to understand, our defense the past 5 years, 6 years maybe, has been bottom in sacks. We've had just complete, like, utter hell in terms of sacks. We're 32nd, obviously, and like the next closest is like 20 sacks under, 30 sacks under, something like that. He's flipped our defense to a completely different unit where we're actually like, we've always been good at yardage and things of that nature, but we've never been able to sack the quarterback and take advantage of our ability to hold coverage decently well. and now we can. It's keeping us close in games that matter, but like, not to repeat myself, but
Yeah, getting over that hump.
getting over that hump, man.
It's like, yeah, you could have a point differential of -17 and be 0-17. You can have a point differential of like +17 and be undefeated. Truly, all that matters is winning. And that kind of brings me into this next thing that I think we should talk about too. But I was seeing that the Bears are the number one seed in the NFC, and they literally have a point differential of under 10.
The Bears are crazy. Their season is. I know you hate this, but hats off to them. They're having a great season. They're playing. They're in every game. They're not often getting blown out. I think they had the one blowout against y'all. It was like 50 points or something like that.
And JJ McCarthy's nine's first start.
Yeah, and I mean those are the two losses. Other than that, I mean they've been practically flawless, and Caleb Williams is playing really well. They just don't play like it's not stat football that you're watching. You're not gonna. The Patriots. They have like live reporting. The Patriots just returned a punt for a touchdown. Anyways, with the Patriots, speaking of, they have like a bunch of like air passing yards. Everybody likes Drake May. He's slinging it 4 touchdowns a game. But the Bears they'll beat you actually in the trenches. They'll make you have to play a certain type of football where you actually have to like establish the run so you can get the pass going. Run certain formations so you can get play action working. Like they're gonna force you to play a certain type of way, and if you're not prepared for that, you'll. I mean, it's just a bunch of ugly games, and on even footing, it seems like the Bears win this.
Really, I think that's a good point of winning in the trenches. It just feels like, Ben Johnson said today he doesn't feel like they're winning because of their passing game. He feels like they're winning despite it. And I feel like, even if Ben Johnson and his offensive scheming isn't winning them games, he definitely deserves credit for having his players play as hard as possible. And to me, this kind of feels like an inverse of last year, just what Bears football has been, which is kind of how Falcons football is right now too. They were in a lot of games last year and they would lose by 1 score. This year, they're in every game and they're winning by 1 score. And is it luck? Is it coaching? It's hard to know. And I that's just kind of what I love, and I'm sure you love about football, is you never know. You could have a team like the 2022 Vikings that were like 14-3 and were barely above. They had a positive point differential and then get bounced by the Daniel Jones led Giants. It's hard to know, even going into the playoffs, just in general, if a team is good. Like, I think of the Chiefs during the Super Bowl getting blown up by the Eagles, and they won 15 games that year. More than that, they got all the way to the Super Bowl. Truly, anything can happen. So it's like, I would say this to any fan that is still, whose team is still in the playoff contention, which I think the Falcons are technically still in it. I mean, I wouldn't get your hopes up, but do not forget that literally your team could go on a 7-game win streak at the end of the season, make the playoffs, and win the Super Bowl. Is it likely? No, but it is possible, and it can happen, and weird things have happened. So
definitely, I always say any given Sunday, any game is achievable. These are pro teams. These guys are being paid millions of dollars to do what they're doing. So I mean, yes, the Raiders suck. Yes, the Jets suck, but these are still pro players, and there's also players on the teams that don't suck. Max Crosby is a phenomenal player. Garrett Wilson is a great player. Breece Hall, these teams can win and compete in the league. More often they don't. There's always a chance. And you look at a lot of these teams with losing records. You look at like the losses when you're really watching the games. A lot of times they're in it up until like a certain point, and that point is most often late. You don't often go into halftime 35-0. I know the Seahawks have done it. That's not normal. Normal is like a score or two, and a 3-score game, you can still mount a comeback pretty easily. I mean, if it's 2 scores, I mean, shoot, you can do that in 5 minutes realistically. So any given Sunday, all teams have chances to win.
Again, another good game for an example of this is Cowboys beating the Eagles last week, and then The Cowboys won again against the Chiefs in a close game, and I need to look. I mean, I need to look at some of the game scores because if I'm being honest, I don't remember every game this week. But every week there's a game where a team will be down by a score or two, and we'll come back. Like you said, you just need literally 5 minutes to come back from a 2-point deficit. It's not easy to do.
There are some things that I remembered from this past week here, week 13. One of the things is this San Francisco Cleveland game. I don't know if you were paying attention to it. I was kind of watching it with Shador Sanders.
I was loosely, yeah.
I was paying attention because I saw this 34-yard pass to Harold Fannin, and it was a beautiful pass, and they ended up getting a 2-point conversion, a little risky move, and then they just get hammered. 4 more scores, they can't put up anything. It was an interesting game, but Shador Sanders is actually looking good, and I'm very excited for his success. I mean, this is a good defense that they're playing against here.
The whole Shador saga is very entertaining, I think, because is he good? We don't really know. I mean, he played his first good defense and he didn't play very well, but at the same time, like they started hot, but then it's like Bo Nix had arguably one of his best games all season against the Commanders, who are not good, but he threw for 320 yards, a touchdown and a pick. That's pretty good. Denver held in the game, and I know that they struggle offensively, but still, with any given Sunday, again, like we're talking about, Commanders missed the 2-point conversion. They win in overtime. Bo Nix is playing pretty well now. And do I think they're legit? Not necessarily. They're still playing the Washington Commanders. They're 10-2, and at a certain point, you can't really fake being 10-2.
The defense is definitely legit. They're playing phenomenally. Bo Nix isn't. I know he's having a good game. And, you compare like Bo Nix to quarterbacks like Caleb Williams. We're talking about how Caleb Williams can put up a whatever stat line, but he's finding ways to win. I think Bo Nix is. He's finding ways to win sometimes, but I feel like most of their struggles are coming when they're up already and they're trying not to choke a lead. And in that sense, I feel like their defense are winning these games. This is a 10-2, record that goes more to the defense. This close game with a bunch of these, more poor teams who have at least average to above average defenses, I think that's at fault of Bo Nix, and then their defense being able to keep them in it and possibly, getting them like short field position or something and elevating them to 10-2. So I definitely don't think the Denver Broncos are a bad team at all, but I definitely do not like their offense, especially with, they have a RJ Harvey he had 2 touchdowns, but 35 yards, and I'm sure he contributed in the passing game. But those 2 touchdowns are probably short chip-ins, yard or so. The offense is you still score 27 points. They're starting to figure it out, but there's definitely some upgrades needed in this department here. It's not confident for me to believe that they're like a Super Bowl team, but
yeah, it's interesting because, like you said, it's the defense that's keeping them in a lot of these games. They barely beat the Giants. They had them out, one of the biggest fourth quarter comebacks in history. Barely beat the Raiders, who are one of the stinkiest teams of like the last 2 or 3 years. Barely beat the Commanders, but yet they're winning. Especially if they're able to get the 1 seed, which they're very likely able to do. If that defense can just keep playing well, they only have to win 2 games to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's true.
But again, it's hard to know. And like we were saying earlier, I feel like any team really can make it this year. This isn't like a hot take, but I have a feeling the Chiefs aren't going to make it to even into the playoffs, especially if they keep dropping some of these winnable games. Like they're playing the Texans this week. If the Texans defense is able to play well and they have some momentum on their side. I mean, Davis Mills was playing well. They're going to be 6-7. That's hard to dig yourself out of a hole like that, especially with the Jags, the Colts, Bills as like your 3 wild card teams. You have to win the division at that point, and they're still like in 3rd place. The Eagles are looking beatable. The Bears are the number 1 seed in the NFC. I don't remember who is it. Are the Broncos the 1 seed?
Yeah, right now the Broncos are 1 and the Patriots are 2.
I'm just excited, and I think I'm curious. I was going to ask you this, like who you think your team that you want to watch. I mean, obviously you're going to watch the Falcons games, but I'm kind of starting to think about. I want to pick a new team to kind of watch and root for just because I don't know if the Lions are going to make it to the playoffs. And it's, I think last year, because the Lions had made it, I wasn't really looking at any other teams. And by the time the Lions were out, it was already the divisional round, and it was just Bills, Chiefs, Eagles, Commanders. And the only ones I was like, oh, I'd like them to win is the Bills. But I honestly think this year I would really like to see the Broncos do well. Patriots would be fun. The Jags would be cool. Same with the Rams or the Seahawks, or even, I think the Panthers could win the NFC South. Like, all of those teams I think would be really scrappy and fun to watch. The only ones I would hate to see do well would be the Eagles, the Bears, the Packers, honestly. Besides that, I'd be really excited about any team.
I can't root for the Patriots. It's just impossible. I don't mind Denver. I'm just not a fan. I just don't like watching Denver games. So I'm not typically, rooting for them. I wouldn't mind Chicago. Obviously, you hate them. Obviously I don't want the Saints or the Buccaneers or the Panthers to do well. And I like the Rams a lot. But usually, when I watch playoffs, I'm watching matchups, and these matchups, I'm usually rooting for one. I'm usually rooting for the underdog. I like good upset stories and things like that. But also at the same time, if let's say a team is like an underdog, but it's the Chiefs or whatever. If they're playing the Jags, who are the over, I'm gonna root for the Jags. More fun. I don't do it by seeds per se. I do it by like teams and careers and things like that. So I just like to see fun things. If it's the AFC, I want the Jags to make it. I wouldn't mind the Colts making it or the Chargers. I think the Chargers need to finally win a playoff game with Justin Herbert. I don't think they have yet. Yeah. So there's a couple of AFC teams that I would like. In reality, I really only the Rams or the Seahawks. That's about it. I don't really like a ton of NFC teams. Just because we play them so often, and there's history. I prefer teams that I'm more unattached to, like the Jags, to win a Super Bowl, because then it's kind of it is what it is.
And we're gonna kind of start seeing the teams shape up. I saw someone was saying that this is the time of the season where the bad teams start losing and the good teams continue to win, even these last 3 or 4 weeks. Because a team could go, again, for Lions fans, I'd like to remind you, we are 1.5 games behind the 1 seed. So I'm not saying we're going to get the 1 seed. I'm just saying it's not like previous years where you're 4 games behind. Not even the 1 seed, but that just means winning the division at this point. Keep in mind that we have so much still to look forward to, and this season is not over. Might feel that way, but it's not.
A good recap of the week so far to throw some light on the game being played right now between the Patriots and the Giants. Right now, it's getting really chippy. The offensive line of the Giants are kind of fighting with the defense of the Patriots, and then this Patriots linebacker just put a crazy smack onto Jackson Dart as he's running down the sideline, and they started fighting again. It was crazy.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That was funny.
Yeah, but right now it's 17-0. The Patriots are kind of laying it on them. The offense is going stupid, and the defense isn't letting New York do anything. Other than that's pretty much week 13. We only have 5 more weeks to go until the playoffs, and then after that, it's probably 4 more weeks of games over a month span, or month plus, really. Season's coming to a close.
Yeah, it is, but we'll get into our next segment, which, Michael, do you want to explain what we're doing today?
What you guys are looking at, which I'm sure many of you already know, is the Immaculate Grid. This is a 3x3 grid where it'll give you 2 teams, as you can see, the Falcons and the Colts.
And these are current players?
No, this is all time. You can choose anybody. This is first round draft pick, this 1,000 yards rushing seasons. So this can be anybody from you can choose 1930s. If you knew a guy, you could choose him.
Oh, but there's not a right answer. There's multiple right answers as long as it fits. Okay, well, I already know one that we can do.
But okay, so listen, there's a little thing that you try to do is you try to go for the most. It'll whenever you guess, it'll for one, if it's right, it'll tell you it's right. It'll show the player, but in the corner there's going to be a percentage of how what percentage of people who have guessed that player, and you want to try to get the smallest percentage. For Colts 1,000-yard rushing, you can easily think of Jonathan Taylor, but that's obviously going to be the most common answer. So you want to think of somebody else. For the Browns, there's not many people that have rushed for 1,000 yards. I mean, you can think of Nick Chubb. You can think of Jim Brown. I have a guess for this. He was a Madden cover, but I think people kind of forget him. Peyton Hillis. I'm not going to guess him just yet.
Well, I know one for Falcons. Vikings.
Who's your Falcons-Vikings pick?
Kirk Cousins, brother.
I would love to do that, but there's literally a guy I know is on there, and he's not going to get picked. Laquan Treadwell is going to nail. Kirk Cousins is definitely the most obvious pick. And as much as I would love to dip my balls in the bit, I'm a winner, Ben.
Okay, well, I have to pick Kirk Cousins because I don't know that.
Laquan Treadwell is a 1% guess. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm gonna guess Peyton Hillis for the Browns rushing. He's 15. Boom.
I did Nick Chubb. I'm not good at this, but I'll keep doing it.
You know, you started watching not that long ago. I've been more into the games and stuff, and like more of that kind of culture. You know, I don't know if you ever played Madden Mobile back when I was a kid. Madden 16 was coming out with Odell Beckham Jr. on the cover, and they had a mobile version of the game. Stuff like that helps you learn.
I guessed a good one for Brown's first round pick.
Who's?
I did Tim Couch.
Tim Couch. Ooh, that's a good one. Let me see if I can't think of a different one that's not like... I mean, obviously, the Browns have had an insane amount of first-round picks. I'm gonna have to come back to that. I can't remember if Peyton Manning was a first-round pick.
Yeah, he was.
He was?
I would do like Laiatu Latu or Anthony Richardson.
You can. For Vikings first-round draft pick, Lewis Sign, I think he was a first-rounder. I want to guess him.
I did Dallas Turner. He's 4%.
Oh, for Colts?
For Vikings.
Oh, for Vikings. Oh, well, yeah, he's in your division, so that would make sense. Do you know if Lewis Sign is a first-round pick?
No, I don't know who that is.
Oh, he's like a corner, I think. See, yeah, it makes you think, though. You know what I mean?
Who's someone who's played on the Falcons and the Browns?
That's what I was thinking of. Is it good? Wait, I think I know. Mike Ford. Boom, 1%. Mike Ford, the special teamer. That is such a nasty pull. Now I gotta think of a Colts player who played for the Falcons. Obviously, there's Matt Ryan.
I'm just gonna do Matt Ryan because that's the only one I'm gonna know.
That's fair. I gotta think of I'm gonna have my work cut out for me. Editing this, I'm gonna have to. I'll be chopping so many dead bit or just like silence. It'll be fun though.
I got all of them done.
You did?
Yeah.
I'm trying to go Dalvin Cook, Adrian Peterson. God, who are Vikings running? Who's their running back right now?
Aaron Jones. He's who I guessed.
31%. Oh, whatever. How much was Aaron Jones?
15.
Dang, so you beat me there. That's tough.
I thought more people would have guessed him. I was actually pretty surprised.
Well, he's only been there for 2 years. Dalvin Cook was he was a bigger player to them for a lot longer, so I mean that makes sense. I'm gonna go Lewis Sign for the Vikings. Boom, 1%er. Oh my god, dude, I'm cooking. Browns. I think Greg Newsome. Boom, 0.7. Okay, I'm cooking, dude. The Colts first round draft pick. Colts. Wait, I might have a crazy. No, I don't. It's gone. Colts. No, yeah, I'm just gonna go Peyton Manning.
I did Anthony Richardson.
Is Dallas Clark? I'm gonna go on a limb and say he was 0.4%.
Nice.
Dallas Clark, if you don't know, he's a tight end.
Oh.
So he's.
Oh, I could have done Tyler Warren too. That would have been a good pick. But I guess a lot of people know about him.
I guess, yeah, I think so. He's kind of built like Tyler Warren. Dallas Clark wore 44. He's like a Hall of Fame tight end.
I just did Jonathan Taylor because I knew I wasn't gonna know anyone else.
I'll take the next best guess. And I just can't think of running backs. Okay, this is just gonna be a shout. Marlon Mack. I don't think he's ever had 1,000 yards, but I'm guessing him. 3%. Oh my god, I'm cooking. I just need the Falcons Colts player, and I'm good.
Someone not Matt Ryan.
Somebody other than Matt Ryan, and I've just had a perfect slew of it outside of Dalvin Cook. I want to say Brent Grimes was a Colt, but I don't think that's true.
I believe you, brother. I don't know anything.
Wait, okay, this is gonna be a shout. This is either I suck at the game or I just suck at everything. John Abraham.
Don't say that. You're doing so well.
No, I missed. John Abraham was not whatever. Overtime, Matt Ryan. I'm gonna go with Matt Ryan. 73%, not bad. Press show summary whenever you're done, and you can look at the most commonly picked answers. Like if I chose Peyton Manning, that would have been the most commonly picked choice. Kirk Cousins was the most commonly picked. Austin Hooper, Browns Falcon was the most commonly picked. That's funny. You can also you can also press show and you can see all of the different 1,000-yard rushers that they do. Like, I never would have gotten Chester Taylor, Michael Bennett, Robert Smith, Terry Allen, Ted Brown, and Chuck Foreman for Vikings 1,000-yard rushers, because there's only 9 of them. So at least I didn't get the most. We'll see. Maybe if you guys like that kind of stuff, we'll start to do this kind of thing more.
Yeah, that was fun. It's good to like test our knowledge, and I think we're gonna try to like, we have some stuff planned for off-season videos, and I think we're gonna really try to start like getting our content to a kind of like the next level of quality for all of you guys. So, just kind of hang in there. We're gonna get to the end of the season, and we got some things cooking in the can.
Yeah, if you guys have any other games or anything like that let us know. We'd love to try out some games. Maybe we
will play Madden against each other sometime. We will do that eventually.
That is definitely possible. And you better start practicing, brother, because I am a veteran.
You're a veteran. I'm gonna be so much better at Madden than you.
I hope you keep this confidence, brother. It'll be a great day to humble you. I can't wait.
I don't need humbling.
Because I know you play a lot of NCAA. I could play you NCAA too, bro.
I'm a genius of play calling.
You use the coaching plays, the ones that they give you whenever they.
That's not true. That's so disrespectful.
You do not flip through formation. I don't flip through formations. Like,
you don't know what I do, bro. You don't know anything. That's so disrespectful.
That'll be a challenge that we'll have to have. We'll have to run some stuff against each other and see who's really the better Madden player. And whenever you're ready to get scarred, let me know. I'm here to humble you.
That wraps up this segment for today, and we're gonna just quickly then go into our predictions for this week. So just to start us off, we're gonna have the AFC East showdown in MetLife Stadium, which is going to be the Dolphins taking on the Jets. I think the Dolphins will win this game. I feel like the Jets, even though they just won a game, I do think that it is more of a incompetence failure on the part of the Falcons than it is the Jets being a good team.
I would definitely agree with you there. The special teams, like I was saying before, that's really where they won it, because they were able to capitalize on special teams. Oddly enough, it's a thing that bad teams are better at. So and we honestly have some good special teams players like Mike Ford. It is what it is. So I'm going Dolphins with you here. Yeah. So for this next game here, we have AFC North showdown between the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I believe that the Ravens lost. The Steelers won this last game. The Steelers beat the Chargers, and the Ravens lost to the Bengals. So I'm thinking the Ravens are gonna want to try to clap back here, and the Steelers are gonna try to hold their own. But I think we're gonna start to see a more fleshed out Baltimore here as they try to cement the hold that they have on the division right now. So I'm gonna go Baltimore at home.
Yeah, I agree with this. I think Baltimore just is a better team right now, especially with Aaron Rodgers out. I think this is definitely his last season. Probably very disappointing for the all-time great Aaron Rodgers. Moving on to the next game, we have the Colts in Jacksonville, and this one is actually pretty hard for me to pick. I think that, if I'm being honest, my gut is saying Jacksonville, because they always beat the Colts in Jacksonville, so I'm gonna have them taking over Jacksonville for the Colts, Indianapolis, for lead of the division.
I really like games like this where this is an important matchup for the division and possibly playoffs. Both of these teams are going to be fired up, but one thing sets apart both of these teams, and that is the home crowd, the fans.
Yeah,
this is going to be such a hyped up moment, because this is going to mean a lot. This can genuinely flip a massive hold on the division. Even if the Colts stay tied up with the Jags after this, They have to have a better record to overtake the division here. And I think the Jags fans are going to come out full force. So give me Jacksonville at home. Yeah, so for this next game here, we have mid-off. This is going to be between the Cleveland Browns and the Tennessee Titans. This is going to be the first, fight between Cam Ward and Shador Sanders. Though these two guys are good friends. They were competing, a lot during the draft. So, but I do think that Cleveland has a much better team, and they still have a head coach. So I'm gonna go Cleveland here at home.
I agree with you on this. I just think the Titans are so stinky that even a team like Cleveland will be able to put up points on them. For the next game, it's a rematch of probably the worst game of the entire season of the Broncos and the Raiders. I do think that the Broncos will still win this one and go to 11 wins. There are a lot of wonky games that happen, but especially with just how truly terrible this Raiders team is, I would not be surprised if they lost.
I'm not very confident in the Raiders at all. With their offensive struggles already, and just the Broncos just playing at such a phenomenal level. So I'm gonna go Broncos here. A pretty easy and large victory. This next game here is between the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals, and I got a little upset here, man. With the coming off of a mini bye, I like Cincinnati here. Joe Burrow's come back and he played well enough with only Jamar Chase against the Baltimore Ravens, who are on a hot streak. So I'm going to go Cincinnati here over the Bills, who seem to be completely free-falling with just no structure on their defense.
I would like to agree with this take because I like the Bengals, but I do think that this is a get-right game for the Bills. They definitely aren't winning the division this year, but I do think that they are still going to be good enough to win, especially with how truly terrible the Bills, or not the Bills, but how bad the Bengals defense is. And then for this next game, we have the Texans at the Chiefs. Again, I actually want to go Texans here. I just think their defense is going to be able to lock up Patrick Mahomes. I think CJ Stroud and the Texans offense are maybe not getting in a rhythm. I don't think that this team is really in a rhythm for anything, but I think that they're going to be good enough to keep themselves with momentum, and especially if the Jags beat the Colts, I think that this is a wide open division.
Yeah, this is the division for the AFC South. I feel like it is starting to tip in the Jaguars' favor here. I do think it is going to continue to be chaotic. I do kind of feel Houston here as well. I think CJ Stroud's coming back. He's already came back, and he was playing pretty well in their game last. And, they seem to be heating up at the right moment, and the Chiefs seem to be falling in the wrong one. So I am going to agree with you here and go Houston. For our only AFC versus NFC game of the week, we have Monday Night Football, the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that this is going to be a bounce-back game for Philadelphia. I'm not very confident in how the Chargers have handled important games like this one against good teams, and Philadelphia seems to just play up to competition or down to it. They match. So I am going to go ahead and lock in Eagles away.
Yeah, I agree with this, especially with how injured the Chargers are offensively. I think the Eagles defense is going to kind of be able to shut them down. Justin Herbert would have to be Superman to win this game, which we know he's capable of doing, but you can't keep asking him to do that every. For the next game, we have our Thursday night football matchup, which is Dallas at Detroit. I still think Detroit keeps their streak of not losing back-to-back games alive. However, I am nervous of this game, and I am tempted to pick Dallas just so I feel better if they lose.
I hate to do this to you. So I know it says you guys are coming off of a mini bye, but in reality, you both your teams are like a regular week. You played last Thursday. You both played this Thursday. That kind of doesn't really factor in. This is a historical matchup usually played on Thanksgiving. Dallas is so hot right now. It's really hard to say anything but, Dallas is going to win. And it's not like it's going to be like a blowout or anything. think you guys are going to be able to keep up offensively, but I think, the pound of both CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens is just going to end up overpowering a secondary who, seems to be fighting for their lives as of late.
I mean, I don't disagree with that take. So
For this next game here, we have the Green Bay Packers versus the Chicago Bears. This is going to be a NFC North matchup here. Green Bay is coming off of their bye. I honestly, I kind of like Green Bay here. I don't think NFC North teams really have much luck in Lambeau. I think the Bears are going to come to it's going to be a close one, and they're going to, this is going to be a character building moment for them. I'm going to go Chicago.
I'm going to say, and I will clarify with that I have been wrong about this time and time again about the Bears. I think they are proving they're a very good team. Not ever be underestimated, but I do agree with your take on this. So I am going to be picking Green Bay. For the Commanders in Minnesota, I am also going to be picking the Commanders. We know that the Minnesota Vikings do not have a starting or even second string quarterback on their roster. So because of that, I don't think they're...
Honestly, even with Marcus Mariota, the Commanders have looked pretty good. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, the Vikings have looked very poor. I haven't been a big fan. I'm pretty sure they got shut out last week. So for that reason, I'm also going to lock in Washington Commanders. This next game here is between the Atlanta Falcons and the Seattle Seahawks. I don't really need to talk about it that much. The Seahawks, I just hope that we don't get 35-0 at halftime, because we don't deserve that. So I'm going to go Seahawks, though.
I agree. I think Seattle's just better on all sides of the ball. Basically, in every position besides running back, they have a better player. For the Saints at the Buccaneers, I think the Buccaneers finally get a much-needed win. I know they did just win, but I need to start getting momentum back on their side, so I am going to pick the Bucs to win this one.
Yeah, there's just, with Baker Mayfield coming back, playing through his injuries, there's no reason why I would think the Saints would win here. They're already eliminated from the playoffs. At this point, you might as well try to tank for a good draft pick. I mean, you don't have that many weeks left. Winning this game does nothing but get, Carolina close to the playoffs. And, maybe you want the top to flip. Who knows? But I still think Tampa Bay is going to win this one here. Yeah, so for this last game of the week here, NFC West showdown here, it's going to be the Rams versus the Cardinals. The Rams lost a close game to Carolina, and with an important divisional game here coming up to try to keep the lead or take it and keep the Seahawks down in the wild card round, I do think that they're going to step up and take this win here against Arizona.
I agree with this again. Had the 1 seed in their hands and they let it go. So they really need to, again, like I said about the Buccaneers, they need to kind of brush it off and start winning again, because they can definitely. But yeah, that is going to wrap up our predictions for this week. And we're going to quickly go into our fantasy football. I can go first. I don't have a big update, but I did win this week, and Michael and I are in. I know, Michael, I checked that you're about to win, and with this victory, I'm going to be putting myself firmly in the number 1 spot. One more game to go, but if I can just win out this game and this next week, I will be the number 1 seed in the playoffs. I think Michael will be in the playoffs as well, so we might be getting a showdown between the two of us yet again. So it's very exciting. We both have had a very good season this year.
As of now, the game is finished. I did win. I won by 10 points, so like 9.7, but it was a decent game. I had the Falcons defense, so them getting minimal points, that didn't help out. I actually took Kirk Cousins out. I know, Cardinals sin, to put in Justin Herbert again, so he ended up getting hurt. I think he broke his wrist or something like that, something crazy. So Kirk Cousins might get another chance to shine on my fantasy team. But in general, I made all the right plays, and I'm very happy with it. Hopefully Drake London will be back. If not, I still have Jamar Chase. So it is what it is. But the one fantasy matchup I wanted to talk about mostly was this other league I'm in, where coming into the game versus the Broncos and the Commanders, I was approximately 18 points down. My whole team had finished. All he had was Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton gets about almost 16 points. They score, they get the ball back, lead taking drive or whatever, and they go, or sorry, in overtime, their first drive. You know, had it not gone to overtime, I would have won. They end up going to overtime. That first drive, Cortland Sutton does nothing because his teammates are getting like 30-yard chunk plays one after another. And then he catches a short 5-yard pass in the red zone, and it bumps the point differential to .11, .11. And
Wow.
the next play, R.J. Harvey got a touchdown, and then as it continued, Washington ended up marching down the field and scoring within the next couple of minutes. I thought, okay, the Broncos are going to get a chance to get the ball again. I might actually lose. And then Washington went for the 2-point conversion, didn't get it. The game finished, and I ended up winning my game by .11 points. My heart was beaten during that. Oh, I'm so happy I won because I did not make a lot of good choices. Most notably, I gave Michael Wilson a chance, and he messed me. He missed. It was a miss. It was a swing and a miss. You gotta take some risks sometimes. That's what a good fantasy commissioner does. With this win, I should slide back into the playoffs. Right now, me and my friend are both 6-6. We're now going to be 7-6, but my points for are like 5 points higher than his, and that's what we have as tiebreakers in our division or in our league. So I'm going to slide back into the 4 spot. Bless me. I'd have to win out, and the playoffs are mine. If I make the playoffs, I have a good chance. You know, I haven't not made the playoffs, and I don't want this year to be the year where I don't make it. Considering other years, I've had way worse starts than what I had this year. So fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, and we will keep you guys updated. Michael and I will very likely be playing each other again.
That's all we have for you today. Hopefully, you know, this new sort of style is more, you know, appealing to everybody. If you like how it's kind of gone, you know, let us know down below. If you know any other games like we said before, like the Immaculate Grid, let us know. Maybe there's like a Wordle style like player guesser. I might do some more research ahead of next week.
I know a one what we could maybe do.
Well, okay, that's beautiful. You keep that little mystery gift for later. And I hope everybody watching had a great Thanksgiving this past weekend. And thank you all for watching. Bye bye.
Bye bye.